Yes.
That was a strong yeah. Mr. Miller.
Yes.
There you go, Steve. Mr. Strobel. Mr. B. Scott, yes. Miss Leone,
Yes.
yes. Miss Tanya Bell,
Yes.
yes. And Miss Olafson.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Do we have a, let me see. Can we get a motion for budget consent items 4A 1 through 3? Those are the easy ones. Can I get a
So
motion for
moved.
those? Steve Miller. Do I have a second?
Second.
I'll let Bucky choose.
No.
Is there any?
It's all right. It's all right.
These are the straightforward ones. Do we have any discussion or any questions for the board before we vote? Okay. Bucky, let's go ahead and vote
Yes,
on one
sure.
through 3.
Okay. Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Strobel. No, okay. Mr. B. Scott, me, yes. Miss Leone,
Yes.
Miss Bell,
Yes.
Miss Albright,
Yes.
Miss Olafson.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So do I have a motion for, well, yeah, I guess. So I think that the discussion so far has been that we were going to keep the rate of taxes the same this year. So can we have a motion for it with the same, with TBD for mills, replaced with what our current millage is? Kathleen, what is our current millage? I'll say it wrong if I try to say it myself.
31.5840.
So can we have do you know what the anticipated revenue from that tax would be approximately for the last line of the TBD?
One second, I am looking. Let me pull it up.
Okay, sorry.
It's all right. I wasn't prepared. I'm getting
I
there.
know, it's okay.
I'm getting there. One second. Oh, that explains. I'm sorry. I was in the wrong folder. That was the problem. I'm like, I lost my spreadsheet. Hang on. All right, I got it. Hang on. All right, the anticipated revenue from leaving the millage at the same rate is $35,845,001. And that would be at the collection rate we had discussed.
Yeah, at a lower collection rate from last year.
I'm using 89%.
Slightly lower, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So can we get a motion with those amounts plugged in for 4A4, and then we can discuss it?
I'll make a motion.
Ms. Leone, do we have a second?
I'll second it, Kevin.
Hey, welcome. All right. And so, all right, this is what we've been discussing for various and sundry reasons. You just heard one of the things that is included in that assessment is an anticipated slightly lower collection rate due to COVID. and the anticipated continued possible downturn and recession, which we're already in. So do we have any, open the floor to anybody have any comments about leaving the taxes where they are, lowering them, making them higher?
I have a question.
Yep.
As far as total revenue, we said that it's 35 million something from
Yes.
the taxes. The spreadsheet I saw earlier, it was like around 36 million, but I want to see, are we still covering our total expenses without going into fund balance?
Yeah. You mean any further than we were?
No, I didn't think we were. Right?
Oh, okay. Okay. So I should not opine before we hear from Kathleen.
Okay, what was the question?
Total revenue, will it cover the 59 million that we approved as far as expenses?
Our budget's at 59,572, 231. The revenue with everything as it was, as it's still coming through. We're not sure of all the grant money or what the specific grant money is 57.5. So as presented, it is a $2 million deficit that'll go into fund balance.
And what does that leave the fund balance?
That will bring the fund balance, and it's projected still because we're still getting the bills and paying things for this year. We're not, because there's still questionable items. There's other items that are going to be approved through this board agenda. But the fund balance is projected to be at 4.7. After that 2 million, it'll be at 2.7. But that's still leaving the assigned fund balance of 1 million. And the capital will still be up at 3 million. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the only question. It's a little different. The last spreadsheet I have is from the April workshop. The local revenue went down from 36.7 to 35 something. Is it?
That's we're projecting 89%. I am not going to know fully how this completely affects us until November 30th because we changed the flat period to end November 30th. I will know what our collection rate is in November. That'll give us a better idea.
I understand that. I mean, the forecast for this year at the same millage is 39.9. So it was down to 36.7. So now it's 35 something.
35,845.
Yeah.
Have you revised earned income tax revenue down at all?
That's included in that number.
Okay, so okay.
So that might be where you are seeing the difference. The earned income tax was probably reduced after that.
It was 2.8 as opposed to 3. Okay. I mean, yeah, I'm good with it. We'll have to make it work. I don't see how we can increase taxes in the current environment.
Any other board members have any comments or questions? I guess we're ready for voting.
Okay, I just want to make sure I was up and live here.
No, you're good.
Okay, so motion 4, this is 4, not 4A, but it's 4 and then
4A4. It's 4A4.
That's what I had right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, Mr. Strobel,
Yes.
Mr. B. Scott, yes. Miss Leone,
Yes.
Miss Tanya Bell,
Yes.
Miss Albright,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
and Miss Olson.
Yes.
All yeses.
Okay. We have personnel consent items. If you, personnel consent items. No, I'm wrong one. 5A 1 through 2, I guess. Do I have a motion for that?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, before we vote, I just wanted to say something about Dr. Sincere Pino is leaving. And I just wanted to say, you know, she came to us as the curriculum head. She was there for, I think, a year, maybe 2 years before she was asked to also be principal at BEC in its last year. She took that job on with no questions asked. I worked with her quite a bit when I was the chair of the curriculum instruction for several years. She's great to work with, and she will be missed. I also wanted to say, I don't know Lori very well, but I did want to say a you know, fond farewell to Jolene Doyle. She's been with the district for a really long time, and I just think she's great, and so I wish her all the best. So I just want to say those two things before we vote. Any questions for the board, for the administration on any of the personnel items under number 5?
No, this is Dr. Cooper. I just want to, publicly share my appreciation for what Dr. Sincere Pino has provided the district in my short tenure here, a little over a year and a half, and working to implement a professional learning, continual learning program, virtual learning program, and as part of the plan that I had coming in, and also wish Ms. Bracken all the best as she moves on into her next endeavor, and Ms. Doyle as she moves on into her next chapter of her life as well.
Thank you, Dr. Cooper. Any questions about for the admin about any of the other positions we're voting on tonight? If not, go ahead, Mr. Scott.
Okay, Mr. B. Scott, yes. Miss Leone,
Yes.
Miss Bell,
Yes.
Miss Albright,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Strobel,
Yes.
Miss Olafson.
Yes. All right, thank you. So moving on to programs added consent items. We probably have some questions about this, but do I have can we take the first 2 together, just programs 6, 1, and 2, and then we'll do 3 and 4 separately. Can I get a motion for 6A, 1, and 2?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Thanks. All right, so the first job description is basically a little bit of a rewriting of the job description for the stuff that Dr. Sincere Pino did, and the second position would be a new position. Dr. Cooper, can I ask you to just briefly talk, since it is an added item, we didn't get a chance to discuss it at the last meeting. Would you just give the board and the public just a overview of what that position would be?
Sure. Both positions. I'll start with position number 1. It was a rewrite of the position for Dr. Sincere Pino's resignation, and taking a look at how we can recraft that position to best meet the needs of the district's and play the strengths of who we have in certain places in our administrative team here. And so it's basically recrafting that position to look for somebody to, take on more of the elementary education piece of it, while at the same time continuing to develop our staff, professional and support staff in the continual education or professional development, professional learning. The second position is a position of community relations and equity awareness. Our vision as a district is one that we reference quite frequently in learning together and advocating for all as we engage our mission of taking pride in growing diverse learners in a safe environment. So felt as though this was a very important position, important work to work in taking a more preventative, proactive approach to identifying and understanding the diversity, inclusivity, bias and equity awareness as we work through community relations with our stakeholders in the district. So that's what this position would entail. With the intent of it is to do the work throughout the district in the buildings to take a proactive approach. As you're aware, last year with the bringing the Anti-Defamation League's No Place for Hate and the board graciously approving the training for all of our professional staff, support staff, administrators, and contracted service providers, and doing that pilot program at our secondary school. This will continue that work as the umbrella over what we've already is happening in some of our other buildings with the Olveus anti-bullying research-based program and the PBIS at our primary and elementary or intermediate levels.
Thank you.
Juliet, I have a question.
Yep.
I have a question. I'm sorry.
Yep, go ahead.
Is this the 2-for-1 that you mentioned in your email to us with individual conversations? Are we still getting on a path? Because I didn't get a chance to respond to that email.
That's okay. What we would be voting on tonight would be the job descriptions for these two positions. They would be, if we voted yes on these two positions, so one of them would be like, as Dr. Cooper had said, a refining of the position and a little bit different, but basically the job that Dr. Sincere Pino had done. But the other one would be an added administration position. Yes.
And the reason I bring it up is that we're not raising taxes this year.
Correct.
Companies out there all over the place are asking people to do more for less. It's just how it works. And so we're in a situation where I felt like, Mr. McKnight stepped up and was going to do some different things. And we were actually going to try and save some money in the process. And so with combining some of the jobs that were available there. And so I'd like to make sure that we're still going down that path versus spending additional money and just increasing the deficit. And so I just want to make sure that I'm voting on the right thing here. So are we voting for a position that's going to increase our budget when we already have a shortfall, or are we voting to decrease what we had talked about prior to? I'm not sure which this is.
Yeah. Okay.
You know what I mean?
This is, yes. Yeah. When I talked to Dr. Cooper earlier today, I asked if the numbers would work out if we did this without losing another admin position somewhere else. Because that is also an option, losing another admin position somewhere else, which means that person's work has to be done by somebody else, right?
Right. We were going to ask people to do a little bit more for a little less.
Right. Can I ask, Dr. Cooper said that he was going to talk to Ms. Haynes about whether these cost savings we had in other areas were going to make it possible to bring on community relations person.
Yes, part of it because some of the savings that we had realize in the district office support staff position, however, would not make up for the entire piece of it.
Okay.
Probably looking at about, would probably be, and Kathleen, you can chime in here, could cover about 60% of it, 70% of it with that savings, Ms. Haynes? Would that be safe?
Yeah, the savings in the district office is about 70,000. So if you're going to go above that, depending on what the salary range, or I think we're thinking, I don't want to list names or something like that. It'll cover probably close to 70%, if not 80. That's about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I guess my question would be, does it make sense to, we can always add somebody, but it's really hard to take somebody away once you have them. And so if the district was going down that path and felt that they could handle it without that position and combining this one, and we save some money, I'm suggesting that we try that and can always add somebody if there's a shortfall later, somebody stressing out, they can't get their work done. I mean, Brett has, the district has, the administration office has their finger on all that, and they're going to be watching it closely, versus, hey, we think, this is an important position, which I agree that it is, but they feel like they can get it done. Why don't we let them try it? That's what I'm saying.
Well,
Save the money.
Kevin, sorry, quick question. Which position are you talking about? There are two positions there.
He's talking about the community relations. Yes.
Oh, yeah. Well, I wouldn't agree with that.
Yeah. One thing I will say, to what Mr. Strobel will, I never just have one thing to say, but one thing I will say to what Mr. Strobel is saying, the way that the community relations job is written right now, it's written as a 12-month job before that person would be brought into the Act 93 contract.
Okay.
Good. That's what I read. Is that correct, Dr. Cooper?
Yeah, it's a 12-month Act 93, correct?
Right. And so, so if it turned out that we really didn't need that person anymore, we would not have to retain them for a second year to bring them into the full Act 93 contract.
I was talking about the moving of the other admin person that was suggested from our administration. They recommended that we retake and repurpose a position that's already being handled in one of the positions and put them in this position. I'm not suggesting we don't go with these positions, Steve. I'm recommending that we take not the board, but the administration's first suggestion, which saves us money in a time frame that we need to save that money, right, and potentially cause a little bit of stress in one of the buildings. But they have their finger on it, and if we need to bolster that spot up, we could always add to it versus adding another, not instead of saving 70, adding 30,000 or whatever the case might be for that second position to be put in there and not do what they recommended from the very beginning. Because our fear is that building's going to be left short when they felt that it wasn't. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think we need to give them a chance to try it and see what happens. We might end up saving the money. And if we don't, we can always pull the parachute and hire somebody later. We've got to get our hands around this budget is where my brain's at.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I hear you. It was my suggestion to administration that perhaps we could look at the possibility of bringing a new person in for the community relations job without losing a position at one of the buildings in admin. That was in administration. That was my suggestion because I felt that with the way the last 4 months have gone and with the unknowns of next year coming in to focus of what next year is going to be like, that I was nervous about the thought of creating more change at the building level. But I also, with the way things have been the last 2 months, where I definitely see the need for a community relations coordinator on our staff, somebody to get their hands around some of those communication issues that we have and some of the social media issues that we have and equity issues.
Mhm.
I agree. I don't disagree with any of that other than I do believe, I agree with all the above in terms of adding a person for the community relations and all that. But the administration came to us and said, we think we can do this with one less person and repurpose that person in a different area and cover this up, save $70,000. I'm suggesting that we take their offer on it. And then if it doesn't work, then we can always go down the path of adding another person. And there's so many people that can help in that position, help out if we start running into a wall with it. That's all. That was where my head was at. I just know that it's another $100,000 we're adding to it instead of taking 70 away.
Any other board members have comments about either of these positions?
I am also extremely concerned about taking the position away from the one building. I'm uncomfortable with moving that person.
I agree with Mrs. Albright. I don't feel comfortable taking that person out, and I don't think anybody can fill in and be a presence that has an impact.
I agree with Kevin that I think that, you know, the position is very important. We need this position, but we also need to really be watching how much we're putting into our budget, because what's happening is we just keep putting stuff in and the budget just keeps going up and up. So we just need to be careful about that.
We're deficit spending right now is where we're at. We're actually deficit spending right now. And I don't disagree with anybody saying that's going to be a missed position, but if the admin, if Dr. Cooper and his team come to us and say, we think we can do it without, I think we should give them a shot. They're running the school. They're the ones in the daily, day in, day out, day in. They know it probably much better than all of us put together. And if they felt, and Dr. Cooper, where are you at with this? Do you feel like you can still accomplish that goal?
Yeah, I take a look at what we're trying to do with the community relations equity awareness position, take more, as I indicated before, a preventative approach to prevent things from taking place, so that on the back end of it, we're not spending the time on the assignment of consequences of choices made. So, you know, that focus of that position with the community relations and the equity awareness piece, especially equity awareness piece of it, is to really foster and further develop those programs and making sure that they're implemented fully with fidelity. When I say programs, I'm referencing the ADL's No Place for Hate, referencing the Alveus anti-bullying program, I'm referencing the PBIS program. And, you know, working with our building administrators to really support the full implementation of those programs. And we're an educational institution. So to try to foster that and prevent the choices from being made.
I have a
Was that a yes or a
question.
no? How about a yes or no?
Yeah.
I think the question is,
can
do
you
we think
do
there'll be
it
a
as originally?
shortfall? Will there
Pardon?
be a if you're going to move one of the administration into one of these positions, will that leave a gap in the building?
I think that, yeah, that's what we're talking about. Can we really move someone internally into the community relations position? Is that what we're talking about?
Mm-hmm.
We have someone with that skill set?
Well, we may. I strongly believe we have somebody in the skill set for the first position, item number 1.
Yes.
Which would create the ability to be able to backfill that position.
Okay.
Then hire the director of community relations, if it's not in house with one of those back persons. So.
Okay.
And I don't want to make it good.
We're looking to use our resources internally and putting to use the folks that we have in the right that are going to best support our students and families, and then, you know, whatever is created as a result of these two positions, if both internal fills, then we would backfill the result of the both internal fills. If one's internal and one's external, we backfill the one internal with our one internal person.
And those choices can still be made. And I don't want anybody to think that I don't think that that person or the person or that position is not a needed position. It has nothing to do with that. But if the people that are running the show say we think we can do it without, as a board, we're sitting here saying, no, we're going to keep that person in there. I just want to make sure everybody, we know what we're doing. We're spending another $100,000 and our budget's already upside down. So we're deficit spending. We're saying that money we have sitting over here in the bank account that we're going to need down the road, because we all looked at the 5-year plan. We're going to need that. That's okay. We're going to spend 100 on top of it. And so I'm good. I think all the positions are important. I'd like to add 20 more people and give the students way more. I just don't want to, I don't want to at the end of this run into a bankrupt wall and go, oh, we weren't really paying attention to the dollars. And so I'm just mentioning it for the sake of saying, let's be concerned about what we're spending, because we can't lower our income, not raise taxes, and spend more. It just doesn't work. The math doesn't work. 1 and 1 will still be 2. You can't -4 and expect to have 3. It's not going to happen. And so that's all I'm mentioning it for. I'm not mentioning, that's all I'm saying is that this is an opportunity where the admin says we can do it without. I'm just saying we're forcing them to take it and keep another person in and put more positions and spend another 100,000. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, so we all know where Kevin stands. So Bucky, you've been quiet, and I can't see your face, so I don't know how you feel.
You know, I mean, there's a couple of things that cross my mind right now, and I mean, you know, we're obviously spent some money in some other areas already this year. Mm-hmm. In the last month or so with other areas that we didn't expect to have to do. And I appreciate where Kevin's coming from. I can't speak to where Tanya Bell and Beverly about that one position, but the communication, the community relations position is so important. I mean, it's so important. That's where we've been having our issues as a board. I think the school district is not communicating and not communicating well. That kind of, I don't know if that helps, but that's how I feel. I think that position is really important.
No,
definitely needed. I agree.
I think you misunderstood me, Bucky. My issue is not at all that we don't need it. We obviously
no.
need to communicate.
Oh, I didn't mean you did.
No, because you put it out there, so I get a chance to explain myself. It has nothing to do with the fact we don't need a communication person. My deal is the person that they want to move is unbelievably great at where they are. That's my issue.
That is what I agree with.
All right, so I didn't mean to tell you two, or I apologize. Maybe I misunderstood this. I'm just talking about the communications person. I thought you were referring earlier to the other position that you just made a reference to.
No.
That's all. I didn't mean you were like voting against the communications people. I just thought.
Yeah.
No,
I apologize if that came across.
Julia, can we vote for them separately?
So we can, absolutely, if you'd like to. And again, you know, we're not voting for a person into this position right now. We're voting on whether or not we want to create these two. Well, if we want to revise the job description for Director of Elementary and Continual Ed, and if we want to create the job description for Community Relations and Equity Awareness, we're not voting on whether or not we're putting anybody in that position, and we're not voting right now on eliminating any other admin positions today.
Okay. I'm sorry, I misunderstood them.
No, that's okay.
No, I guess it's good because the person could be moved once the position's there, right? We can just get to vote on adding or removing.
Yeah, correct. And so one step at a time. And knowing that, Ms. Bell, do you want to do you still want to separate them out and vote on them separately? That's fine with me.
We don't need to.
I asked Mrs. Bell asked the question before, so let me see.
If you're so if we don't approve the Director of Elementary and Continual Education,
right,
then is the other position still there? So is the position that's being vacated, is that still there to fill?
Well, they haven't even interviewed people for any of these
right, but I'm just
yet.
wondering,
so, it doesn't no vote today automatically eliminates another position in the administration. So
Okay.
like I said, I'm fine with it. If we want to vote on them separately, that's fine with me. Can I get who did the original motion? Was it Mr. Miller? It was so long ago. I don't
No.
remember.
It was Mr. Miller and myself.
Would you two be all right if we change if we amend your motion for just 6A1, Mr.
Yeah.
Miller and Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Yeah, fine.
Okay, so
Julia, what's the benefit of separating them? It's the same position. It's just whether it's how they get filled that we're not voting on tonight. We're still voting for both positions. Everybody thought we still need all those positions.
The benefit of separating the vote is that if you wanted to vote yes on one and no on the other, now you can do that.
I got you.
Yeah. So
I got you.
Mr. Scott, I'm sorry. Do we have any other board discussion, questions, comments, or from administration before we vote on?
Yeah, this is Dr. Cooper. The first position there is a job description that replaces the current one of
Right.
professional and virtual learning. That's
Right.
what the position is.
Right.
And does that, is that at a cost savings?
Depends on the person's experience.
It depends on the person based on the salary requirements and what the current person is making now. The ceiling of the position there is about a $25,000 to $30,000 difference at the top end of the salary.
A savings, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions for the administration before we vote on? Again, I can't remember what it is. 6A1. Bucky.
Yep. Miss Leone,
Yes.
Miss Bell,
No.
Miss Albright,
No.
Mr. Miller,
No.
Mr. Strobel.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. B. Scott, no. Miss Olson.
Yes.
So we have,
It failed.
you know what? I gotta be honest with you. I didn't get my sheet. I'm doing this. I'm winging this thing here. So give me a second.
That's
here.
okay.
So we got Leone. Was it yes? Miss Olson. Yeah, it looks like yes has failed
Okay.
by one.
All right. Can we vote on 6A2?
And that was
I get a motion for that. I'm sorry.
so moved. I'll give you that.
All right. And I'll second that. And this is a motion to approve the job description for the community relations and equity awareness. Do we have any further questions for the administration?
I mean, I guess I don't know if it's a question. Maybe it's a question / a comment. But
Mhm.
Mr. Cooper, do you feel this is a position that's necessary in light of what's gone on lately?
Yes, I feel it's a position that's necessary, and if I could come back to the previous motion after the board makes a decision on this one, I want to clarify. I guess some clarification on the previous one that was voted on. So
Okay.
yes, I do feel that this job description of Director of Community Relations and Equity Awareness is imperative and important to the district.
Julie,
Any other comments from the board or questions before we vote? Okay, Bucky, Mr. Scott, sorry.
stop it. Miss Bell.
Yes.
Okay. Miss Albright.
Yes.
Mr. Miller.
Yes.
Mr. Strobel.
Yes.
Mr. B. Scott. Yes. Ms. Leone,
Yes.
Ms. Olson.
Yes.
All right. 7 yes.
Okay, Dr. Cooper, do you want to come back to what you wanted to say?
Yes, with the first item being defeated in the vote for the board, my understanding, or that continues to leave the current position it's vacated by Dr. Sincere Pino as Director of Professional Virtual Learning,
Correct.
as a vacated position that would be posted as that is currently written.
Right.
Would that not go up for board approval?
Yeah, when the position is going to be filled, yes.
Okay, because I think the intent is not to do that.
Correct.
The intent is not to fill that position.
Right.
Correct.
The concern is with, I think the concern is with the way it was planning on being filled, that some of the board members had exception with that.
So that position would not be advertised for. Is that the intent of the board?
That would be my intent.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
I think we need additional discussion as to that position.
I agree with that.
If
Yeah.
there's
Well, yeah, I mean,
other,
I think
other
that's
options internally, but
absolutely the case.
Should we, we were intending, Dr. Cooper, we were intending to have a curriculum and instruction committee meeting possibly in July. Can we kick this topic back to curriculum and instruction? And see if we can get some clarity on what the board wants out of that position if we want it? Can we do that?
Yeah, I mean, that would be the time to, put it back on the table.
What do you think? Ms. Albright is our curriculum instruction committee head. Is that an issue? Would that be okay with you if it was a discussion? If we move that discussion forward through the committee?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So that's what we'll do this summer. Well, we're already in summer, but next month. All right. So we'll table that for now. So moving on to 6A3. Do I have a motion for the athletic and activities health and safety plan?
so moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, so this is one of the bigger items that's new here. Since last week, we've just had guidance come down from the state just since we met 7 days ago, and but Eileen Schmidt, our AD, has been working on this with other school districts. So other than making some minor changes to match what the guidance that came out was, this was pretty much ready to go. And I think she's here. So do any of the board, well, Eileen, if you're around, would you be able to? I've already read through it, and is there anything that the board or anybody else is going to find incredibly surprising from reading this? I didn't see any surprises.
No, there's nothing surprising. It's a phase to get our kids back on the field for voluntary workouts.
Mm-hmm.
It matches a lot of what the other district schools are doing, and some schools across the state. So it's not much different than anyone else.
Okay.
Can I just ask a question about that health survey? Is that going to be like printed? Is it going to be like a iPad they're signing? Is it going to be electronic? Like, how much time is this going to be taking in the beginning of every practice? That kind of thing.
It's printed. It's a printed piece of paper that the coaches will have for every practice, and they'll file it that away so that we have a record of who was there in case we do have a positive test, so we can do the tracing. It shouldn't take long. It's about 6 questions, and it's attached to the back of that plan so that you see that.
No, I did see it. I'm just concerned about the giant paper trail we're going to be creating here. Who's going to be responsible?
So it'll be the coaches responsible. So it'll be the coaches' responsibility. Is that what I heard?
Yes, they'll do that every day. And then they'll file it away that day in the athletic office so that we have a record of everyone that was there.
Okay.
Are we ordering you some more filing cabinets?
Plenty of room in the athletic office.
All right. Any other?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it looks like a very good comprehensive plan and a lot of work has gone into it. My question is with the phase 2 levels of participation. It says phase 2, PA state yellow or green once permitted by the PIAA. Isn't that what happened last week or Wednesday?
Well, that phase 2 would allow us to start whether we're in yellow or green.
Right. Didn't the PIA and the Harrisburg give the approval to do that?
Yes.
So basically, that's where we are. Okay.
Yes, that's where we are right now.
Okay. Yeah, just the wording's a little confusing. That's what I thought. So, and then the 14 days without no confirmed cases. What does that mean?
Similar to as the state moves from phase to phase, they wait 14 days with no confirmed case or minimal amount of cases. In our case, it would be no one testing positive in those 14 days, and we can move to the next phase. And basically, as the phases move along, you're just increasing the amount of student athletes in that group.
Okay, so we basically would start in phase 2 and go 14 days without any confirmed cases, and we would be in phase 3.
Right. So phase 2 will be 10. We'll have pods of 10. We have a student that tests positive in that. It's that pod is affected. It's not the entire group that's infected.
Okay.
And then we'll move to 25, and then we'll move to open.
Okay.
Can I ask a question? Since it does say influenza on here as well, is this going to be year after year that if there are positive flu cases, it's going to be the same situation? Or is this more specifically in regards to the phases just for COVID?
Right now, it's just in regards to the phases, it's just what the state is mandating with COVID.
Okay. I could just see it being a lot of work if it was for influenza as well.
That is for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, Mr. Scott.
Okay, this is motion 86A number 3. Miss Albright,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Strobel,
Yes.
Mr. B. Scott, yes. Miss Leone,
Yes.
Miss Bell,
Yes.
Miss Olafson.
Yes.
7 yes.
Okay. Can we get a motion for 6A4, which was the agenda edit to approve the 2020 Summer Academic Connections Program?
That's what-
And a motion?
This is Tanya, yeah.
Ms. Bell,
So
do I have a second?
Yes.
Ms. Albright? Any comments or concerns from what we learned about the summer program last week? If none, then Mr. Scott, can we have a vote?
Sure. Okay. Miss Albright,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Strobel,
Yes.
Mr. B. Scott, yes. Miss Leone,
Yes.
Miss Bell,
Yes.
Miss Olafson.
Yes.
All right.
Okay. We have the finance added items. It's 7A, 1 through 8. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
And I'll second.
Okay.
I think all of this kind of came out of the Facilities and Transportation Committee meeting. Yeah, and one came out of technology. And the tax collections just came from the business office. So did anybody have any questions about anything under added finance items?
No.
Okay. Can we get a vote, Mr. Scott?
Sure. Motion 10, 1 through 8. And that's 7. 1
Yep.
through 8.
Yep.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Strobel.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Mr. Murray's still on here, so I always hesitate. Mr. B. Scott. Yes. I just forgot my name. Miss Leone.
Yes.
Miss Bell.
Yes.
Miss Albright.
Yes.
Miss Olson.
Yes.
7 yes.
All right. So if we could have a motion for the personnel added items, 8A 1 through 5, when you add the agenda edit from the beginning of the meeting. Can I get a motion for those?
Motion.
Second.
Ms. Albright and Mr. Scott. Any questions on any of those? Just to remember that the added item from the beginning of the meeting was to allow for to begin with the advertising and hiring process to replace somebody. Can you remind me, Ms. Haynes, where that position will be opening up? I forget.
There'll be a position opening up in the
The
district
business office. Oh, in the district office.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
you just voted. It's all district office now.
Okay,
so yeah, there's
that's
a position open.
Okay, so it's going to be a position opening up in the district office. So, if nobody has questions, we can have a vote.
Yes. This is motion 11, 8A 1 through. Oh no, this is.
8. It's 8A 1 through 5.
It is 1 through 5. Excuse me. All right.
Yeah, that's okay.
Thank you. Mr. Strobel.
Yes.
Mr. B. Scott, yes. Miss Leone.
Yes.
Miss Bell.
Yes.
Miss Albright.
Yes.
Mr. Miller.
Yes.
Miss Olson.
Yes.
All right, 7 yes.
All right. So 9A 1, approval of the minutes from June 8th. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Scott, do I have a second? I'll second it. Okay.
Who won?
Ms. Bell.
Tanya.
Unless anybody has any edits to make to the minutes, then we can just have a vote.
Okay, this is motion 12. Okay, 1 second. All right, Mr. Strobel.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Strobel. Mr. B. Scott, yes. Mr. Leone. Miss Leone, excuse me.
Yes.
My God, I'll get in trouble. Miss Bell.
Yes.
Okay. Miss Albright.
Yes.
Mr. Miller.
Yes.
Miss Olson.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, so we have I have nothing for new business. Do we have any presentations by the public on issues. Mr. Matz, do you see anyone?
I do not.
I don't either. Do I have a motion for adjournment?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Yeah, second.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, everyone. We will not see you again until, well, see you. So, kinda.
We're having
Until the end
executive
of,
meeting.
I'm speaking to the assembled public. I won't see you again until the end of July. Hopefully we might actually see you at some point in July. I don't know how that's going to work, but everyone stay safe and thank you.